Everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel, and in this video we'll be learning how to make this bustier top with straps, and also I'll be explaining in my next video how I made the pants. So this video I'll be explaining the top, why the next video will be explanation for the pants. So if you would like to learn how to make this dress, then this video is for you. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and drop a beautiful comment. If you are new here, you're welcome to my channel. Thank you for stopping by. So you can see from here that this is actually a nice dress. You could actually style it with also a plain trouser, just as I did here, aside from the Ankara trousers. And for this dress, I made use of 3 yards of fabric, about 2 yards for the pants, which I did not really cover all, and a yard for the top. So thank you for stopping by. Okay, so what I have here, I'm already gonna ahead to draft out my darts and my a busy block. So I'll be explaining how I went about that. So this is like my half length, and from my half length I marked 8 inches down to my hip line. So that's what I actually do have here. So I would just want to go ahead to mark out the vertical line that I have, what I have there. So I have my underbust, I have my half length. So you mark out your half length measurement, your underbust measurement, and your bust span, and finally your hip line measurement, then also your chest line. So for my hip line, I marked 8 inches from my waistline, and I also went ahead for the dart intake. I did 0 point. Sorry, for that intake, I did 3/4 of an inches on both sides, and I also went ahead to mark it down. Then from my hip line, I measured about 1.5 inches up before marking my dart inches. My neck width, I did 3 inches, chest line 7 inches, and that is that. Then I also want to go ahead right now to mark out my bust round divided by 4, and I'm going to go ahead to use my pattern ruler to connect it. After this, I also want to go ahead to mark out my hip round divided by 4. But for the hip round, I did not use my exact hip round divided by 4. I added about some inches to it. So you could do 1 inches for yours. So for my half length on the waist part, I also want to go ahead to mark out what I have. So my waist round divided by 4, and I'm also going to my waist round divided by 4, and plus my dart intake, that will be 1.5 inches. So what I have will be 8 inches from my waistline, which I'm also going to go ahead to use to mark and go to my hip line. Like I said, I did not use my exact measurement. I added about 1 inches, and then you go ahead to use your pattern ruler to connect these lines. So I have my exact waist measurement after connecting this, and the next thing I want to do now is my underbust tightening. So the underbust tightening might not really be necessary, but I just wanted to do it. So though it's actually necessary still. So for my underbust tightening, I'm going to measure my round underbust, what I have, divide it by 4, and also measure what I have here. So this is my underbust that I'm on. So I'm going to measure and get exactly what I have, and whatever is left, I'm going to divide it on both sides on both sides of the dart, and go. Take note that the inner part should have more. So for instance, if we have about 1 inches that's left, we'll just go ahead for the inner side, give 3/4 of an inches, and the other part we give 1/4 an inch. If you have 1/4 of an inches, you also share it in that way. Maybe you give about half inches to the inner part and gives 1/4 of an inches to the other part. So after the next thing I'm just going to do now is to connect this to my dart leg, and I'm done with my underbust tightening. So I'm just going to get the midpoint of my shoulder length and mark it out, and also use it and connect it to my bust span measurement. So after this, you just want to take note of where you want your top to start from. So for me, I'll be using my chest line for where my top will start from. You could actually use your chest line, which is actually perfect, or you could come down by 1 inches, also go up by 1 inches. It depends on preference. If you also don't want your cleavage to show, you could go up by 1 inch. So for me, I'll be using my chest line for this, And after this, I just want to go ahead to do my overbust tightening. So for my overbust tightening, I'll be marking 1 inches on both sides. 1 inches or 3/4 of an inch or still half inches is fine, but I'll be going with 1 inch because this does not have hand. And after this, I'll just want to go ahead to connect this to my dart leg. The next thing we want to do now is our side dart. So for my side dart, I'll be coming in by 1.5 inches, which is the difference from my back and front. And if you notice where I mark the side dart from, then also on my bust line, I'm going to return 1 inches from my over bust tightening. I just returned half of what I have there, and I also went ahead to connect that to my waist part and also extend my dart leg to it. So for my over under bust tightening, I'm just going to have that extra this thing, but I feel like that will not should not hurt. So the next thing we want to do now is the down part of the top, which is not straight. There's a slant there, which I will just want to go ahead to create that effect. So for that, before that, I will just want to first extend my dart leg down and then also go ahead to the midpoint and come down by 1 inches. But before also coming down by 1 inches, I also want to. So I'm coming down by 1 inches here. So you could do 1 inches or 1.5 inches and go ahead to connect it to, just like as you've seen me done. And literally we're done with the front part. Yeah, I don't think there's anything left for the front part. So we'll be moving over to the back part of this top. So for our back, we're just going to be returning every measurement we have from the front to the back. Necessary measurement that we're going to need is the chest line, the half length. For the back, half length is going to be different from the front. It's 1 inch shorter than the front. So I'm just going to go ahead to return that. And also mark my hip line from my back half length 8 inches down, and I've done that. So the next thing I would also want to do is to mark out my bust and pan. But for the back, instead of the using 4 inches, I'm going to use 4.5 inches here, and the reason is because of the zip bulge and the zip intake. So for my zip this thing, I'm just going to go in by 3/4 of an inches. We do 3/4 of an inches and or 0.5 inches, to anyone is fine. And I'm just going to go ahead also to mark out my dart measurement, same thing I did for the front, which is 1.5 0 then 3/4 of an inches and on both sides, and also go ahead to connect it. Okay, so my center back, I'll be coming down by 1.5 inches. If you want your center back to come down more, you could go down more. If you don't want it to come down much, you could come up by 1 inch. And also go ahead to connect this to my front part, just like from the chest line, just as you see me do it like this. So I'll also want to use my marker pen to mark this out so that it could be visible and you will see how I went about it. So that is that for the back. So you could do 1.5 or 2 inches. It depends on how deep you want your center back to be. So I just want to go ahead to return the side measurement I have from my front to the back. So I'll be marking my bust round, hip round, and waist round. And after this, I also want to use my pattern ruler to connect these lines, just as you can see here. So after this, the same this thing we did for the down part of the front, we also want to return the curve to the back also. So like for the front, I extended my dart leg. I also did same for the back, and I came down by 1 inches. So I had to measure it to ensure that I'm correct, and also go ahead to use my pattern ruler to connect it. So right here we are done with the back, and the only thing left is that I will just want to do my back tightening. So for this, you could use 0.5 inches. You could use, I don't know, 0.5 inches, 1 inch, but no, 1 inch, I feel like 1 inch will be too much, but 0.5 inches is just fine. And after doing this, you should connect it to your waist, your half length. I did mistake. I mistakenly connected to my the other line there. I can't really recall for now, but you should connect this to your waistline, the half inches you're going to do, and that's literally it for the back part. Okay, so the next thing is to go ahead to cut. And while cutting, I noticed that the camera was off. Thank God I noticed it earlier. So this is just how I cut. I just cut out the chest line down to the 1.5 inches down that I took on the back, and I'm just going to go ahead to cut out. So watch while I cut. So I've gone ahead to cut out my pattern to fabric, and this is what I have. So I added about 2 inches for the sides and half inches round and about 1 inches for the down part. So this is my center back. For the center back, I added about 1 inches also for the zip allowance, and for the front, I added 2 inches to the side. You could actually do 1.5 inches, but I wanted mine to be free. That was why I did 2 inches for the side and 1 inches down, half inches round. So that is what I have. When I had to gum my clothes, I'm sorry, estate to it. And I've also gone ahead to use this same pattern to cut out my lining. So I'm just going to place it like this and sew by half inches on both sides for the front and also for the back. So this is what the back is like. So I just want to place this well, make the center front. So that part I'm with now is the center front and the other part is the side front. So I just want to place it like this and place the side part. So I also want to go ahead to notch at the that sides so that I don't make mistake, and place it just like this, and also go ahead to sew on both sides by half inches. So right here I'm done sewing on both sides by half inches, and I've also gone ahead to open and iron. So this is what I have. I also repeated same process for the lining. So this is my front part and the lining, and the next thing I want to do is to place my lining like this and go ahead to sew round. So while sewing round, I would just want to leave about maybe a small about 2 inches at that part so that I can use that for turnover. So this is that for the front. And for the back also, I'm going to go ahead to sew round. So for the part where I'm going to leave for my turnover at the back, I'm going to be leaving this at the zipper allowance. Just maybe about 1 or 1.5 inches is fine so that you can turn it out. So you want to go ahead, sew round. Take note of the this thing part with the the zipper part, please, so you don't make mistake. Okay, so right here I'm done sewing around, and the next thing I would just want to do is to turn over. And before turning over, you want to go ahead to notch round so that it can lay flat when you turn over. So remember the part where I said we should leave for the back part, I said we should leave at the this thing zip part. And I would just want to go ahead, notch first and then turn over from those parts. So right here, this is me trying to turn over. So I'll just be showing you the turnover for the front. So it was kind of tricky. I tried turning. I almost lose the whole part, but at the end of the day, I was able to turn it over. And after turning over, I'll just want to go ahead to my sewing machine and press it and ensure everything lays flat. So at this point, we're almost done. So I would say you should add the belt before sewing your lining. So I did that after, but you could actually do it after, but I think if you add it before, it gives this neat look. So either ways, the next thing I want to do is to turn over. So this is what I have after turning over. I've gone ahead to iron. So what I want to do now is to close that part that we opened. So I would just want to go ahead, place it, fold it in inside just like as you see me do here, and go ahead to top stitch. I'll do this for all the parts that I have that. And so what we want to do next is to sew round. So I just want to place my back on the front just like you see me do here, and go ahead to sew in by 1.5 inches. So I'll be leaving extra half inches for me because I wanted it to be free. So this is what I have for my belt. For my belt length, I'll be working with 33 inches. And then the belt width is 4 inches, which is going to be 2 inches on fold. So I'll just want to go ahead to my sewing machine and sew on just the upper part. Just as sorry, I'm just going to sew on this side, just as you can see me, and I'm going to leave the up and the down part alone. So after sewing, the next thing you want to do is to turn over, and after turning over for the bolt, when I'm done turning over for the bolt, I'll just want to go to my sewing machine. Sorry, I'm just going to go to my pressing iron and iron it. And next thing you want to do now is to sew to the top. So sewing to the top, after sewing to the top, we are done. So you might want to sew on exactly the dart point up, or but for me I'll be coming 1 inches in. So just like in the mouth there, I'll just want to go ahead to fold it in You could place it at that bust point, the bust span point you have there, or you go away from the dart by 1 inches on both sides and place it. So you just go ahead, place it, sew in by 1/2 inches, and your top is ready. So thank you for watching.